All right, so now that everybody is nice and sore from yesterday with Kelsu, hopefully Dom's hasn't set in yet. You got some time there. On Saturdays, let's talk about this Saturday specifically. We've got a pretty complex workout. It might even be one of those things where coaches, if you're watching this earlier than this, if you wanted to make Saturday like, hey, it's Saturday, everybody's working out, you might want to flip-flop this day and Friday. So flip-flop Friday to Saturday, Saturday to Friday. That way you can be like, Kelsu Saturday, and then do this workout the day before. It's not going to change the overall everything that happens, but it might change the mindset around it. Some people like to throw down on Saturdays. Some people like to rest on Saturdays. But up to you how you do it. This workout is a little bit more cerebral and a slower pace for sure. You've got 5 rounds of 4 movements. Let's see, one of which is relatively simple. And then the other 3 are a little different. So you've got 10 alternating pistols. So pistols, the one-legged squat. We can always scale those back to a single, like a seated, so you're sitting down onto a box and standing back up, or an assist, like where you're holding onto a pole, or a rolling pistol, but try to choose the greatest degree of difficulty that's appropriate for you to stay moving. 10 inverted ring rows. An inverted ring row is a ring row with your feet up above where your hands are, or at level with where your hands are, and those just kind of disappear. They're pretty darn difficult, kind of similar to pistols that just disappear after a while. They get hard, can't move that fast. And then sumo deadlift high pull, 10 of those. That's try to get hip mechanics similar to a clean, but also kind of very cerebral. Like you have to hand off the right way for it to feel okay. Otherwise it just feels like you're upright rowing it, which is not what it should feel like. It should feel like the hips move the weight and kind of get it moving there. And then triple unders. And triple under is hard. It's jump higher, spin really hard with the hands. A lot of us will probably just be doing triple under attempts where you're doing doubles and you jump higher and you whack yourself in the foot. But in essence, what you're doing is turning the hands over harder and jumping slightly higher. So it's an extra thwap, bump, 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 instead of bump, bump. And it doesn't require that much more, but it requires enough more physiologically that linking that with the psychological component and the coordination component is just hard. So again, it's 5 rounds of this, so you got 50 of each one of these, which is not a low amount, but by no means do I think it's going to be like I'm breathing super hard for this fully loaded if you have those abilities. Now you can always scale those back, like I said, with the pistols, gave those scales. Inverted ring row can just be a normal ring row. The sumo deadlift high pull can just be decreased in load, and the triple under can be a triple under attempt or a double under. Then if we go down to the partial loaded version, we've got alternated pistols, dumbbell plank rows instead of the inverted ring rows. So if you don't have the rings, you can't find a way to get that inverted row, you can do a alternating plank rows. So in the plank, you're rowing back and forth, which is also equally slow and brutal. Then single arm sumo deadlift high pull. This is gonna do 10 each side, so you don't need to alternate with this. You can just do 10 and switch to the other side and do 10. And then 10 triple unders, same sort of deal here because we're assuming you have a jump rope in that setting. You can always pull back the loading on the dumbbells, and that would be how we'd pull that one back. Unloaded, we have pistols, we have 4-point position plank ankle taps. I'll show you what those look like as soon as we start the warm-up there. And then V-ups, and we have object toe taps. So V-ups are a little abby and hard, object toe taps are fast and breathy. And it's 3 times the amount. And then the 4-position plank ankle taps, those are hard. They're hard and slow, and that's kind of what we're looking at is we're trying to get things that are kind of hard and slow that you have to think a bit more through. And that's why I was saying like this is maybe more of a Friday workout and Saturday switch to a Kelsu. They're both going to be appropriate, but just depending on the feel you have in the gym, flippity floppity that around, you might get a little bit better response. Other than that, nothing too crazy. Let's just jump into the warm-up and we'll get after it. All right, to start things off, let's talk about what the 4-point position plank ankle taps are. 4-point position, parentheses, plank, ankle taps are. 4-point position is referring to the plank. So you're here, so you go 1, 2, 3, 4. You can also do this on your knees if you have to. whatever you got to do to make it happen. But essentially what we're looking to do is an ankle tap. So you take one hand, reach down, touch your ankle, and then come back to the side. So its opposite hand touches the ankle on the opposite side. So if you're doing your right hand, it would be your left leg. If you're doing your left hand, it would be your right leg. And what you'll notice is if you stay braced through that midline, they're actually pretty darn hard to do. Now again, like you could, if you have to, you can do it on your knees as well, where you release and then reach and touch, release, then reach and touch. If you are going to do that, maybe try to just lift up just a little bit, see what that feels like, rather than having a totally straight body. So I would say preferable to going on your knees to do it. Try to do the plank and then just don't reach as far. Maybe reach and touch the knee rather than reaching and touching the ankle, something like that. You'll notice that you have to brace quite hard in order to maintain the stability there. It's a good nasty little movement, and let's try to maintain as much stability as possible. Don't make it too sloppy and bending all around. But that's essentially what our 4-point ankle touches are, so you know those for the workout. Now let's jump into the warm-up. This warm-up is going to be 10 of a bunch of different things, 20 of some other things. We're going to start first with 10 good mornings. If you don't remember what good mornings are, they're sending the hips back, get the tension in the hamstring, stand back up. So do 10 of those. Then you're going to do 10 inchworms to a push-up. Inchworm to a push-up is walk the hands all the way out, inchworm style, to a push-up, which can be done on the knees as well, and then walk the hands all the way back. 1. So do 10 of those. Then you can do sit up to pike. So 10 sit up to pike. Sit up to pike is going to be feet together, sit up, reach, touch your toes, come back down. 10 of those. Then, let me stand back up. Then we're going to do 10 split leg good mornings. So same thing you did before, but you split your feet, and you'll notice that as you do this, it's going to shift where the stretch is. So you do 10 split leg good mornings. My suggestion is do 5 and 5 each side because it's relatively long, get stuff going. If you want to do 10 and 10 each side, you totally could. I would suggest just 5 and 5 each side to get the 10 done. Then you're going to do 20 plank alternating object taps. So plank, and then try to touch an object that's in front of them. You can do virtual high fives to somebody who would be in front of you like you were doing it there. You can also do this on your knees too. But we're warming up a little bit of that instability in the plank for that 4-point tap that we were talking about earlier. Then you're going to do 10 sit up to straddle. Sit up to straddle. Same thing as the sit up to pike, except your feet are split. Sit up, straddle, and reach. Come back down. That's what you're going for there. Then 10 quad pose to hip lift. Quad pose on your knees here. Kind of grab your ankles. Push the hips through, straighten everything out, then come back down. That's a quad pose to hip lift. They're not super easy. You might not get super far. Do what you can, kind of go from there. Then we're going to do 10 4-point position plank ankle taps. And that's what we were talking about for the actual workout. And we showed those a second ago. Boonk, boonk, boonk. Okay. And again, try to stay braced as much as you can there. Then we're going to do 10 strict sit-ups. So nice and slow on the sit-up. And what you'll notice is if you butterfly your feet like I did, a strict sit-up, unless you have an ab mat, is nearly impossible. If you have an ab mat, use it. Chances are you won't. So go ahead and either roll something up, put it on your back, or put your feet out straight, more in that pike position, or with feet on the ground. Because what you're going to need is you're going to need your hip flexors to have the room to take over because you don't have a pivot point for your low back. 10 of those, 10 single leg deadlifts. If you don't have any load, that's okay too. So send the hips back, grab your invisible weight, stand back up, work on the stability as much as possible. Dog, did you just bump my camera? Come here. You silly dog. Ugh. Silly dog. You can't see him, he's off screen. He's bumping cameras left and right. Then 20 object toe taps. A little jig. And then you're gonna do that for 2 rounds if you're not feeling warm by then. If you're feeling warm by then, you can do 1 round of that and you'll be totally fine. That's it. Move through all of that and then you should be ready to work into some more skill specific stuff for the actual workout. and get after it and have some fun. Enjoy the complexity of the day. It should be a fun one. Get after it.